It's as close to time travel as we're gonna get. This Week in Music History with Marty Miller.
This week we are looking at June 15th until 19th. We'll head to 1972 for David Bowie.
Ziggy, I wanted to define the archetype Messiah rock star. That's all I wanted to do.
6 years left in 2016, but the writing was on the wall, wasn't it? Meatloaf hits the deck.
We know he collapsed on stage during his hit song, I Would Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That.
And less than 4, 5, 6 weeks from her own death, and not far from hitting the deck, Amy Winehouse in 2011. Let's go through this week in music history.
This Week in Music History with Marty Miller.
We'll start in 1981 and Duran Duran released their self-titled debut studio album. Singles included Planet Earth and Girls on Film. This week in 1996, one of the absolute greats passed away. We lost Ella Fitzgerald. What a voice.
My mother had God-given talent. She would call me out on stage and we'd dance together.
Ella had her own troubles. She found her own way to master suffering and make it something else.
Jumping back to 1972, and David Bowie gave us his 5th album, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. David was on a mission with Ziggy.
Ziggy, I wanted to define the archetype Messiah rock star. That's all I wanted to do. And I used the trappings of kabuki theater, mime technique, fringe New York music. Like my references were Velvet Underground, whatever.
In 2007 this week, Rod Stewart married his girlfriend at the time, Penny Lancaster, on the Italian Riviera just outside the resort of Portofino. Rod, of course, was previously married to the model Rachel Hunter and Alana Hamilton. In fact, there was quite a few. These tourists were in Portofino when Rod's party turned up.
Well, we're on holidays and we were walking past and saw all the commotion, so we thought we'd stop and have a sticky bake.
2016 this week, Meatloaf was down again. He was rushed to hospital after collapsing on stage while performing during a gig in Edmonton in Canada.
Meatloaf was taken to hospital in Edmonton, but his condition is still unknown. We know he collapsed on stage during his hit song, I Would Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That. And of course, tons of fans were taking videos at the time it happened, so it was all caught on camera. Now you can see Meatloaf is singing, but then he drops his microphone before falling to the floor. His backup singers and musicians rushing to his side to help, the music eventually stopping, and concert goers were asked to vacate the arena.
Way back in 1965 this week, working at Abbey Road in London, the Beatles completed work on the new Paul McCartney song, Yesterday. It was this week in 2012 that Bruce Springsteen played his longest show to date. 3 hours and 48 minutes, 32 songs at the Estadio Santiago in the Bernabeu in Madrid. However, then in July of the same year, he played 4 hours and 6 minutes in Helsinki. In 1990 this week, Prince played the first of 12 sold-out nights at Wembley Stadium in London. But we can bring it closer to home. Do you remember the Nude Tour? It arrived into Cork. At the airport in Cork.
It's basically a hot rock and roll show.
You expect a lot of black people on stage this evening.
Nothing but a party.
Just a funky groove.
Nothing but a funky groove.
They're comparing us to the Stones for the greatest rock and roll band in the world.
And really sad, just weeks left on her life. 2011 this week, Amy Winehouse was booed by crowds in Belgrade after appearing to be absolutely pissed and too pissed to perform. The gig saw Winehouse mumble her way through parts of songs, leave the stage altogether, and at one point she threw her microphone on the floor. Now this is where it gets a little rough because fans had paid 52 quid to see her, and this is in a country where wages were some of the lowest in Europe. Here's how Amy sounded this week in 2011. So that's our podcast going through this week in music history. That is the week of June 15th to 19th. We'll do another one for you again next week, and thanks for listening.
Zipping through a week in a matter of minutes. This Week in Music History, the podcast.